As we get ready throughout our day, to continue our day here, we'd like to introduce our next operator light talk, which is going to be Brian Bond of Brightspeed. And as CTO, Brian Bond leads the architecture, product, and technology organization. His team is responsible for the enterprise network architecture and integration technology strategy and innovation and product management. His top priority is delivering cost-effective solutions that enable Brightspeed to deliver on the promise to bring broadband to underserved communities. Please join me in welcoming Brian Bond to the stage for his operator light talk.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you having me today, and wanted to thank Gary and the folks at Fiber Connect for giving us an opportunity to share some of the amazing work that we're doing at Brightspeed. I don't think the slides are advancing. That's all right. While they work on the slides, I'm going to go ahead and get going. So if you're not familiar with Brightspeed, we were a company that was founded and established in October of 2022 after acquiring 20 states and those assets from Lumen Technologies. We're headquartered out of Charlotte, North Carolina. If you haven't been to Charlotte, we have a gorgeous office over in the Uptown District. And over the past couple years, less than 2 years, we've hired over 4,000 employees. We are considered the 5th largest ILEC in the US because we have over 6.5 million households within our footprint. We're also considered the 4th largest broadband builder in the US, as we have commitments to build out over 3 million households over the next several years. A quick update on some of the work that we've been doing. So we just completed earlier this year phase 1 of our build, where we've actually passed over 1.2 million households. If you consider that, just briefly in the last, like I said, less than 24 months, we've stood up a brand new company, we've hired over 4,000 people, and we brought 1.2 million, or fiber to 1.2 million households in just less than 2 years. Pretty tremendous amount of work by the team at Brightspeed. We currently operate in 20 states, primarily rural and suburban areas, and actively constructing in 17 of those states. As far as our customer base goes, we have over 1 million customers right now that operate on our copper and fiber network. You know, as I was preparing for today, I was thinking about, it dawned on me, I've actually been building fiber networks for 20 years. And while that was surprising, because it certainly hasn't felt like I've been building networks for 20 years, what really clicked with me was that these customers that we're trying to build out and connect are dealing with technology that's over 20 years old. And granted, yes, we've evolved from BPON to GPON and now XGS-PON, but these customers, I think in our footprint, we have over 66% of the customer base when we acquired them had less than 10 meg of internet service. And so, that's pretty, it just, as I think about that, it's like I can't imagine, some of these people have lived a lifetime, right? When we started building fiber networks in 2003, there's been people that's been born and that are now adults that haven't had the opportunity, that are still dealing with 1 to 3, 5 meg internet DSL services. I think it's safe to say now, no matter where you look in some of these markets, you're starting to see those fiber networks being built. I consider this a once-in-a-generation opportunity to go build these networks. In fact, I've heard some people reference something very similar to FDR's Rural Electrification Act that was built back in the 1930s, where we started bringing electricity out to some of those markets, the rural markets that didn't have electricity. But if you look at this now, there's tens of billions of dollars that are available across many different state and federal and local grants. Brightspeed, we're actively pursuing a lot of those grants. To date, we've already been awarded $231 million. on top of the BEAD, right? So these state and federal grants, we've already raised 213 million. That enables us to activate or bring fiber to 109,000 more locations on top of our original build plan. BEAD alone, if you just consider the center circle here, has $42 billion tied to that we expect that we'll start to see that start to come to fruition in 2025. What does it mean to go build a fiber network? You know, to a lot of our customers, they think about it as Wi-Fi, right? They don't necessarily think about the fiber or the connectivity. They relate to broadband connectivity as their Wi-Fi. Others may relate to it as, hey, I see a truck driving down the road, I see them setting poles and bringing fiber, but they don't really know what it means. Where does it go after that? And at Brightspeed, we are modernizing our entire network. And this includes everything from our optical network, so we're in the process of upgrading our 100 gig optical network to 400 and even 8 gig optics, with capabilities to be able to expand that up to 1.2 terabyte in the future when that demand is required. In the metro Ethernet space, the network that we inherited was what we would call an N by 10 gig, so multiple 10 gig ports to the edge, and we are now upgrading that to 100 gig ports to the edge. And that's significant because the mobile operators are really requiring that for their 5G service and some of their 5G mobile broadband capabilities. So we've been extremely busy building out the fiber to the metro Ethernet. In the next gen voice area, we've got a lot of work going on there. And we're really trying to transition from a TDM-based voice service to an IP-based voice service. And what that does is that enables us to bring, even in the future, a regulated voice service over fiber. Today, a lot of the operators are deploying over-the-top networks, over-the-top voice services. We're doing that with some partners like Alianza on the consumer side. It will also enable us to do SIP peering for those wholesale and enterprise customers, as well as wholesale interconnects. We'll expand our SS7 trunks and also be able to do some DAX replacement on some of that legacy equipment. On the access side of the network, we're doing what many other folks are doing here in the room, is we're deploying XGS-PON, which has a theoretical rate of 10 gig, right? An actual probably about 8.5 gigabit to the home. To do that, we also have to upgrade our aggregation router. So all of those OLTs get aggregated into an AGW before it hits the internet drain. So when you think about that, most customers don't realize the investment that has to take place across the entire network. Inside the home, we're also deploying next-gen technologies inside the home with Wi-Fi 6E and soon to be Wi-Fi 7. And we're doing that, the entire access and in-home network, which is fully managed in a cloud-based solution, which I'll talk about here in a few minutes. But I would ask you, how do you think about the services, if you're a service provider or if you're a customer to a service provider, how are they differentiating their products and services? I can recall back in the day when we first started doing this, it was all about the race to 1 gig. Who could be the fastest service provider to offer 1 gig? And we were doing that, and primarily we were trying to compete with some of the cable operators because they were working on a DOCSIS platform, and we knew that they had limitations. And as they started catching us at 500 meg, then we decided to go to 1 gig. And then we decided to go to symmetrical 1 gig because we knew they couldn't do it with the DOCSIS modems. And now we find ourselves competing on multi-gig services. The reason I bring this up is because I feel like over the past several years we've been competing for speeds. And what happens when you do that is it's very costly. It has a terrible ROI. And quite frankly, customers just aren't using some of the speeds that operators are selling. Specifically, if you look at this chart across 2023 and 2024, and we looked at that previously further down the road, the 1 gig customers are sitting around 47%. That hasn't changed a whole lot over the last several years. Where we're really starting to see the movement is those customers that are moving from copper DSL to entry-level fiber speeds. And then we start to see those fiber speeds, or the lower speed tiers from like 200 meg to 500 meg, start to transition. And so, that's important because, why do you think that's happening? Because it's really plenty at this point in time. And so if you think back to how I just explained the entire network build, especially folks like Brightspeed, where we have a completely dedicated build plant, that gets very expensive once you get back to the OLT, back in the local central office. And so our focus has really been over the last year or so is trying to figure out how we can drive differentiated services. How can we differentiate ourselves from our competitors? And, I think here in the next couple years, as more operators enter some of these markets, I would say every market's probably going to have at least 2 operators in those markets. So you have to think about your investment and what it is that you're doing to differentiate yourself. If you just take a look at this curve right here, this is kind of like the evolutionary journey, and I would just ask, where do you think you sit on this trajectory, or where does your operator stand here? If they're just providing fiber connectivity, they're probably down along the bottom at around a 1. As they start to introduce like managed Wi-Fi services, they might be there in a 2, right? They can change SSID and password. Then as you move up the curve, you start to introduce online bill pay and other account management inside the mobile app. When you get to 4, you start to do more advanced things and really start to differentiate yourself from beyond fast and cheap speeds to something that really is more, you start to introduce parental controls, content controls, and then as you move up the curve to around 5 and 6, I would say at Brightspeed we're probably sitting around a 4 right now. And I would say by the end of the year we might kind of bypass 5 and go straight to 6, because at 6 you really start to go beyond residential services. You start to introduce a platform and a technology that is scalable across single-family homes, small businesses, and MDUs. And then you become more relevant within the community and start to offer services to some of the local municipalities, the Chamber of Commerce, school boards, et cetera. So again, Brightspeed's we're about a 4 right now, and we have some plans, I'll talk briefly here in a few minutes, to go beyond that by October this year. If you look at our single-family experience today, here's some of the things that we're doing. Again, we have 6.5 million customers in our footprint, or households in our footprint, with a plan to deploy over 3 million homes in the coming years. Since we became Brightspeed, we have built a fully automated end-to-end system stack for our OSS and BSS, with about a 90 to 95% flow through from order to activation. Those customers are also leveraging our mobile app. Our mobile app has about 4.2 out of 5 stars. That's pretty significant. I've been parts of this in the past where it's hard to get out of the 2s for some of those customers. And I think when you consider the curve, those customers that are down there where they just have Wi-Fi capability management, you start to see a much less experience. At Brightspeed, for our consumer customers, we've introduced a security platform called Protect IQ. We do that with our partner Calix. We've also have the ability to do Ookla speed tests inside that app and manage our Wi-Fi health accordingly inside the mobile app. Now, as you hear me talk about the platform and the scalability, this is where you'll hear me talk often about partnerships and who are your trusted partners. Our partnership with Calix has enabled us to quickly scale to multi-gig. It wasn't until recently that we were offering a 1 gig service because we didn't have hardware that would support that. We went to our partners and they introduced the device to us, and I would say in 2 weeks we had it up and running and we scaled to GA in less than 30 days. And we were able to do that because the cloud didn't require an update, the mobile app didn't require an update, our ops and support cloud tools didn't require an update. We brought the hardware in that runs a single source software across all the appliances, and it allowed us to scale quickly. In the MDU space, very similar experience, except for at Brightspeed, we've been building the fiber networks, and we've had to really kind of pass some of those properties because, one, it's very costly to bring fiber into an MDU, and 2, a lot of the MDU owners don't want us out there disrupting the service inside the living units. It's been difficult to serve. And so most recently, over the last month or so, we introduced our multi-customer ONT that will allow us to scale quickly and better serve those customers. We've also introduced a G.fast technology that allows us to leverage existing copper inside the prim up to 500 feet and still deliver the 1 gig services. We also have a product called Brightspeed Now, where customers that move into those MDUs can scan the QR code and activate service within minutes. I won't get in too far, but we're later this year, early next year, we plan to announce our smart MDU platform. Again, leveraging the same cloud-based platform that is really focused on the tenants and the property managers and property owners to create a better experience. Nobody's really addressed this problem in the market over the last several years of being able to have a seamless connection inside that living unit once you leave yours and go to some of the common areas, and how do you manage the billing, et cetera. And we're working on that and hope to have that deployed in 2025. Probably what I'm most excited about is the Smart Biz opportunity. And so this is the one that we were planning on launching in 2025, and the team has worked so hard to pull this in, and we're targeting a launch in October 1st of this year. And what's exciting about it is it's the exact same experience that our consumer customers get, plus more. So all of the security, all the parental controls, all those capabilities, but it also gives us the ability to enable up to 4 separate SSIDs. And why that's important, if you think about just a small coffee shop, right? They don't have the luxury of having their own IT department. But inside of our Smart Biz platform, those small businesses can go in with a few clicks and just enable capabilities to add additional SSIDs. So they can have an admin SSID. They can have one for the staff. They'll have one dedicated for the point of sale system. And also they have a customer portal that's easy configurable. They don't have to have an IT shop to go build the customer portal. A few clicks within inside the app, they can upload their logo, they can configure their color palette for all of the text and font, they can upload their terms of service and deploy that. And then when someone connects to the guest network, they log in, they they input their first name, last name, and email address, sign off on the terms of service, and now connected on the guest network. But probably the one that I'm most excited about is the network resiliency. And network resiliency, if you know any small business owners, or if there's any in the room, when the network is down, the business is down pretty much, right? They can't process transactions on their point of sale service. But with this new capability, again, it's the same appliance that we're using today in the residential market, but it has a new experience with it. And within a few clicks inside the mobile app, you can configure your mobile device, your phone, to now be a hotspot. And again, you don't have to be an IT person to be able to turn that on. You set the failover, you turn your phone on to a hotspot, you set the failover in the app, and if your WAN connectivity is lost, then it automatically fails over. And you can configure that to fail over just for the point of sale SSID or for the others, depending on what configuration you want to choose. So, that's something that just, I think, really resonates with those small, medium business customers. And then we'll also bundle that with our RingCentral, what we're calling our Voice Plus platform. If you're familiar with RingCentral, there's tons of capabilities that enable our enterprise and small business customers for their voice services. So again, just to kind of recap on where we are and some of the work that we're doing at Brightspeed, I would just say that there's never been a better time than now to invest in fiber. The market for fiber broadband is just rapidly expanding due to people working from home, schooling from home, gaming, over-the-top video services, all of those things, right? And so we got to make sure that we're connecting those customers and giving them the bandwidth that's required. So I would just ask you today, like, if you're a service provider, what are you doing to differentiate yourself? How are you going to win in the marketplace? You don't want to be stuck in a price war where we're trying to drive the price down for the fastest speeds. That's just too expensive. It's not good for any of us. And so, at Brightspeed, we are creating a differentiated experience personalized experience for our customers with a cloud platform that's powered by Active Insights and automation. We leverage strong partnerships across all the different network elements that I mentioned previously, and that's how we're being successful. So that's the update on Brightspeed. I appreciate you all joining today. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show.